Fertility treatment is so much more than medication and appointments. No one prepares you for how deeply it can impact your mind, body, and entire life. These are 5 things that I wish that I knew before I started my fertility journey. I'm Dr. Lora Shahine, a double board-certified OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist, helping people build families for over 20 years. And I had my own fertility journey. I struggled to have both of my children, and part of that struggle did involve IVF. It was so humbling to spend my career and dedicate my life to helping people conceive and not being able to do it myself. And I'm able to look backwards and think about things that I really wish that I knew before I even started trying to build my family, and definitely things that I wish I heard or other people had told me in the middle of that journey when times can get really tough. I am so happy that you found this channel. If this is your first time here, be sure and subscribe so you get my weekly videos all about reproductive health. And if you are coming back, welcome back. I am so glad that you're here. There are 2 other ways to learn and stay in touch. One is my weekly newsletter, link in the description below. You get information about fertility in the news, educational content, and recommendations. Another way to learn and stay connected is my weekly Brave and Curious podcast. You can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's deep dive information into reproductive health and wellness topics and interviews with experts in the field. Now, today we are talking about 5 things I wish someone had told me when I was going through my fertility journey. After we go through the top 5 things that I wish that I knew before and during my fertility journey, I'm going to let you know what this community has to say for you. So I reached out on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and this incredible community that we've created together. And I asked that question. Finish this sentence. What do you wish someone had told you before you started your fertility journey? And I'll let you know what this community says to support you. All right, the 5 things that I wish someone had told me before I started my fertility journey. Number 1, it's more emotional than you expect. The fertility journey can absolutely be learning about your body, learning about your cycle, doing testing, maybe doing treatment. And you might be able to prepare for the medications and the appointments and the clinical and physical part of fertility treatment and the journey. But that emotional piece and the mental health challenges that come along with it, nobody really can prepare you for that. You can be filled with so many emotions. Why me? This is not fair. You can feel left behind as your friends and family members start or complete their families and you're still trying to build yours. You can question past choices. Why did I wait so long? Why didn't I freeze my eggs? There's so many things that can go through your mind, and you've got to recognize that, allow yourself to feel emotions, and get support that you need. Fertility isn't just clinical, it's deeply personal. You deserve more than just medication and treatments. You deserve emotional support as well. Whether it's therapy, a support group, a very dear friend that just listens, find that right support for you. All right, what I wish someone had told me before I started my fertility journey. I wish someone had told me before my fertility journey. Number 2, it can take longer than you think. This is tough. Nobody teaches us how to get pregnant in health class. We are taught it is so easy to get pregnant that we have to fear conceiving before we are actually ready to. And nobody finishes that sentence and says, hey, for some people, when they start to try to conceive, they conceive on the first try or within the first 3 months. But not everyone. 1 in 6 couples struggle with infertility when they're trying to conceive. That is common. 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. That is common. But we don't talk about this. We don't share. We feel like we're the only people that are going through this, and our expectations can be off because nobody taught us and we just didn't understand how this process works. So just remember, it can take longer than you think, and give yourself grace. This is a marathon, not a sprint. What I wish someone told me on my fertility journey, number 3, success does not always happen on the first try. This is tough too, because you feel like you're taking action. You might be taking a medication, you might be doing an intrauterine insemination, you might be doing an embryo transfer, and of course you're going to be hopeful, and you are going to want that first treatment or first try to work, but sometimes it doesn't. Not every cycle works, and it does not mean that you're doing anything wrong. It might take a couple of tries, it might take a couple of different protocols or switching plans and paths forward. Hope and heartache live side by side on this journey. You are not alone, and this is not your fault. What I wish someone had told me before my fertility journey, number 4, you're gonna learn a lot fast. So this was me too. I was a fertility doctor and IVF and treated patients for years before I started trying to build my own family, and I still learned so much in the process. And I imagine, try to put myself in my patient's situation. We are asking them to be a fertility patient, a nurse, a pharmacist, a financial planner, a program manager. This is a part-time job, and part of this is learning a lot. I actually think that that's one of the amazing things about going through a fertility journey, even if you don't necessarily want to, but wow, you get to see your uterus and ovaries on the ultrasound. You get to learn about your cycle, these things that we were not taught in health class. You get to understand that your overall health impacts your reproductive health. So you get to learn at a much younger age than a lot of your peers habits that you should really cut back on and habits that you should really start. Thinking about nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management. You're going to be learning how to really take care of yourself. Your immediate goal is to build your family, but you're going to learn habits that are going to help you enjoy that family for a very long time. I know that's kind of a positive spin and something that really nobody wants to be struggling to build their family, but I do think that learning a lot is interesting, and I think it could be something that you could pivot towards, like, yeah, I really don't want to do IVF. I really don't want to be a fertility patient, but you know what? I'm going to learn a lot about my body and my overall health in this process, and that's not such a bad thing. What I wish someone had told me before my fertility journey, number 5, success in the end is not always what you thought it was going to be in the beginning. That might sound a little vague. Let me explain. You could start off and say, I want to build my family, but I am not doing IVF. And you might find after a while, you are actually building your family with IVF. You may be planning to conceive with your eggs, your partner's sperm, and you carrying that baby, but you might find that you are building your family with donor egg, donor sperm, adoption, or a gestational carrier. And this last one is tough. You might be ending this journey without actually having a baby or the family that you dreamed of. You may actually pivot and redefine your own goals of what happiness and success can look like for you. If this is something that you are considering, I recommend listening to episode 78 of my Brave and Curious podcast, where I interview Carrie Houskins. She has an incredible story of infertility, miscarriage, gestational surrogacy, and she has been very open on social media and sharing with the community that she has redefined success for her as being child-free, and what that meant and how hard it was to pivot, but where she is right now and how that was the right choice for her. So this is a really hard thing to think about when you're in the middle of having hope and building your family. But if you are considering pivoting and changing that life path, I want you to know you are not alone, and you could listen to that episode, number 78, Brave and Curious podcast, and listen to someone else that's found true joy and happiness with this pivot. Before we get to what this community reached out and wanted to tell you, let's recap. The 5 things that I wish that someone had told me before my fertility journey are: number 1, the emotional impact of the fertility journey is real and you deserve support. Number 2, the process can take longer than you think. So try to be careful with setting really strict expectations for a timeline. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Number 3, success doesn't always happen on the first try, and this doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. Number 4, you will learn a lot fast. And that could be a good thing to learn about your body and your cycles and overall health and wellness. And finally, number 5, success at the end of the journey may not be what you're expecting it to be at the beginning. Be open to different paths, be open to new opportunities, and just don't try to figure out the end goal right now. make the best decisions for you in the moment. So this is what the fertility community wants to share with you as you are starting out on your fertility journey, or you might be deep into it. I asked, and here's what they said. They said, finish this sentence. During my infertility journey, I wish someone had told me that they will be there for me no matter what until the end. Well, that's sweet, asking for that support. That fear, sadness, and anger are valid. And most importantly, I wasn't alone on this journey. The one thing that you need to do is to slow down. I think that that's great. I think that we can feel that going on to the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, and making this as fast a process as possible. Sometimes we just need to slow down and take a deep breath and really reset. Little breaks are okay along the journey if that's right for you. This is interesting, that who supports you will change drastically, and that's okay. I do think that the process of infertility and going through treatment and family building, I do think you find your people. You find the people that are there to support you no matter what, and you find the people that aren't. And it can be tough, but in the long run, you're really finding who your people are, your community, and your support system. After a 4-year journey, we welcomed our baby girl almost 8 months ago, but reading It's Not Your Fault still makes me tear up. I wish I had told myself that more in this. I wish someone had told me that nothing is a guarantee. Be kind to yourself. You're facing an extremely tough time. Take time, persevere. This person says it's a marathon, not a sprint, and a marathon might not end in the way you were hoping for. It's exactly two of the things that we said today. And so many of this is about finding your people. Finding people you can trust to talk to you throughout this process will be incredibly important. So that is what your fertility community and support network are saying to you. A lot of the same advice, but I think I heard over and over and over again that finding that support, not blaming yourself, giving yourself time, being able to pivot and shift. I really hope that this information is helpful. If you're starting your fertility journey, I hope that this helps you prepare and realize how important it is to find the support along the way. And if you're already deep in it, I hope you take a deep breath, realize how strong and resilient you are, and find the right next step for you. I hope this video was helpful. Be sure and share it with someone that you know is deep in a fertility journey or maybe getting started. I think the more that we share these pieces of advice and importance of finding each other just truly, truly helps people along this way feel less alone. Like this video if you learned something, comment with questions that you have. Be sure and subscribe to this channel so you get my weekly videos all about reproductive health. And until next week, wishing you love, luck, and pineapples.